Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Lebanon City Council meeting, Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. Please call the roll.
Mayor Brewer?
Here.
Mrs. Monroe?
Here.
Ms. Wyatt?
Here.
Mr. Shope? Mr. Matthews? Vice Mayor Messer?
Here.
Mr. Schaefer?
Here.
And a motion to excuse both council members Matthews and Shope.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? All right. Please stand for our invocation and pledge.
Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening as humble servants of our community. We are grateful for the city staff that we have that keep our city operating fully on a daily basis, especially those, the first responders, and those that work in the utility services that have jobs that may be a little more dangerous than the average public might understand. We pray that you keep a protective hand on them, as well as our military members that protect our country on a daily basis. We hope for your guidance as we make decisions that impact our entire community, and we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And wonderful to have everybody this evening. We have a lot of different things to do and in celebration. So first we'll take a look at consideration of regular meeting minutes, January 26, 2021, and a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion or comment? Please call the roll.
Ms. Wyatt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Brewer?
Yes.
Mrs. Monroe?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Messer?
Yes.
And consideration of work session meeting minutes, January 20th, 2021, and February 2nd, 2021. And a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion or comment? Please call the roll.
Ms. Wyatt?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Brewer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Messer?
Yes.
Mrs. Monroe?
Yes.
All right. We're going to first start out with a proclamation this evening, and I would like to bring up Ryan Moore. Come on up to the microphone. And I know Dad, his dad is here. He's going to take some photos. And Scott, why don't you, because I know there's somebody else that's going to be taking photos and doing some things as well. We have our...
Yeah, slide here real quick, sorry. I did want to introduce the City Council, Rebecca Nelson. She's our newest employee, and she started a week ago, right? So she's going to be handling all of the media, social marketing, especially on the social media side. So she's already taught us a few things and has a stack about this big of projects on her desk, and just wanted to introduce her to City Council because you'll be seeing her kind of out at the different events. So glad to have Rebecca on board.
Welcome.
Welcome.
And so you'll be taking, I know family's going to take pictures, but I know you'll be as well. And so I'd like to welcome you, something that we have really needed, and I think it'll be a great asset to the city. So, Ryan, I have a special proclamation to read and to present to you today. And this is, so to speak, near and dear to your heart as you experience this every day of your life. Mm-hmm. So I would like to read this proclamation, be able to present it to you, okay? And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Whereas a congenital heart defect is a problem with the structure of the heart, and whereas congenital heart defects are present at birth, the most common type of birth defect, and can be fatal due to their seriousness, insufficient medical intervention options, and the limited availability of infant donor hearts. And whereas, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, congenital heart defects affect nearly 1% of, or about 40,000 births per year in the United States. And whereas there are many Lebanon and Ohio families that are directly or indirectly affected by infant illness and death caused by congenital heart defects. And the city of Lebanon applauds the efforts of doctors and scientists everywhere who work diligently to solve life's medical mysteries and improve the quality of life for all of us, and you, Ryan, specifically. Now therefore I, Amy Brewer, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Lebanon, in the state of Ohio, do hereby proclaim the week of February 7th through the 14th as Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Week in the city of Lebanon. Good, thank you. Thank you. Okay, for your parents, there we go. Great. Thank you.
Mayor Brewer, I think we hear a lot about cancer, and I think about the people that I know that have had a child with congenital heart disease or heart problem. I think you always hear this about cancer, but I would almost say with the congenital heart defects, if you don't know someone that has a child with this, you're not looking hard enough. Because you probably do, and you may not know it because they're healthy, and you look like you're doing very well, which that's awesome. But it's a very important thing to be aware of. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
All right, our next guest, special guest, we have the Executive Director for the Warren County Historical Society here to give us a gift, correct? Michael Coyen, and also is Mr. Yowie, your president. I know you also have board members here as well, and thank you.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, and members of City Council, thank you for providing a space on tonight's agenda. My name is Todd Yowie, and I live at 257 South Mechanic Street. Most of you probably know me as the recently retired superintendent for Lebanon City Schools, but tonight I am here as part of a special presentation to the city. Just over a year ago, I was elected as the president of the Warren County Historical Society. Around that same time, we also hired a new executive director in Michael Coyen. You may not know this, but at the time, the Historical Society was on the brink of collapse, both financially and operationally. I am proud to say that in 12 months, we have reversed that fate. While patronage at the Harmon Museum, Glendower Mansion, and the Armstrong Conference Center has certainly been impacted by the pandemic, the time has been well spent in repair, renovation, and reestablishment. We have addressed issues with facilities, finances, and relationships. One of those valued relationships is with the City of Lebanon. I think we can all agree that the partnership between the city and the Warren County Historical Society has mostly involved the city providing assistance to the society. Tonight, we hope to return some appreciation for all that the city has done to help the Historical Society over many years. I want to thank our Executive Director, Michael Coyen, for his leadership over the past 12 months. Our Board of Trustees, many of whom are present in council chambers this evening, and all of our 800-plus members who help us keep history alive in Warren County. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce for the presentation the Executive Director for the Warren County Historical Society, Michael Coyen.
Thank you, Todd. I think I can do this without a mic. In talking with Mr. Brunga, he mentioned that the vestibule of the city building needed a little help. Well, we had this giclée print made of a painting that is in the collection of the Harmon Museum. It's one of, if not the earliest painted image of Lebanon, painted from near the fairgrounds south edge, looking into the city. There is a companion piece to this. Unfortunately, it was bought out from under us at auction, and it's now in Oregon, but we do have a facsimile of it. It's a painting that dates from 1855. As a matter of fact, the painting was done by a fellow by the name of Edward Beyer, He was born in Germany. He was a graduate of the Dusseldorf Academy. He traveled to Virginia, and he painted especially cityscapes. He wandered through Virginia, what is now West Virginia, to Pittsburgh, and he was a resident in Cincinnati from around 1850 or 1848 to 1857, near the time of this painting. There's another like it, of course, a grander version of a cityscape in the Dayton Art Institute of the city of Cincinnati, done by Bayer. So, with no further ado, we would like to show you Lebanon in 1855.
Beautiful.
Each one of these buildings can be identified, and it's a testament to the citizens and the Historical Society and the efforts of council that most of the buildings that you see in this image are still standing. We have a sense of place and roots. So from Glendower and the Pillars, to the Cropper House, to the Academy Building, to the 1835 Warren County Courthouse, and the Lebanon House, it's all there. We're going to give you a wonderful guide to this that was prepared by art historian John Zimkus, and we hope that this will reside in the lobby. And oh, by the way, Scott, I need these away. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Magnificent. And for those that you may not know, Michael Coyen, I served with Michael Coyen on City Council back in the day. And just, you know, Todd, as you talked about the 12-month turnaround for the museum, that's incredible, simply incredible, with, as you know, a fabulous board, you, Michael, as a new director, your energy, your enthusiasm, your creativity that has brought the museum alive. And such a gem for our city. And thank you so much for what you do. Thank you. There's so many boards out there do a lot of wonderful things, and for the love of it, not for the money, because there is none. For the love of, there is none. For the love of, because you love our city, and you love our county, and you love history, and the importance of keeping it alive. So thank you, and thank you for the masterpiece. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay. Now, we have another very, very special guest this evening. And once I bring him up, I'm going to, Councilmember Schaefer, turn the microphone over to you to kind of talk a little bit about it, and then I will read the certificate, and then you will present it. So, if Mr. Don Hines comes to the microphone, please. And it is truly an honor to have you here.
Thank you. Do you want me to read it? Or?
No,
Okay.
I want you just to kind of talk about, maybe talk
Yeah.
a little bit about what brings Mr. Hines here, and then I'll read it, and then you'll present it.
So, Dawn is a good neighbor of mine, and I'd heard from a couple of our other neighbors that he had saved some guy's life that was out cutting grass by administering CPR until the paramedics were able to arrive. And I just thought that was a great testament to the type of people that we have in our community. And right on my street, somebody willing to jump in and help somebody out. And I wanted to bring Dawn in so that we can recognize him for that. He didn't want any sort of recognition for it. Pretty humble guy. But here he is. Back to you, Mayor.
Great. Thank you, and as Joe said, course, not wanting the recognition because what you did is just jumped in because you knew what you needed to do to save someone's life. And it's a story, it's a good story about things that happen in our community. So, certificate of appreciation to you, Don.
I appreciate it.
Is presented to Don Hines in recognition of your life-saving efforts by administering CPR to your neighbor in need while the first responders were en route to the scene. The city of Lebanon, of course, your neighbor, your family, we thank you.
I appreciate it.
I would like to say something, though, if I could.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to come today, but Joe's pushing a little bit, and I said, you know what, I really, really didn't want to, and then I said, you know what, this is an opportunity to shed light on other people with me having this few minutes of recognition, I suppose, is I would like to give my wife all the credit wherever she's at. And she's the one that noticed him and yelled in the other room and started kind of freaking out. I didn't know what to do. It was really a surreal moment. And I ran out. She had 911 operator on the line, and that's another person I want to give recognition to is the 911 operator, because I did not know what to do. I was in total denial. I thought just the guy was literally asleep, like narcolism or narcolis. I can't even say it right now, but I thought he just fell asleep. I could hear him breathing, and they said possibly he had a heart attack. So the lady said, hey, do you know what to do? And she led me through it. I leaned over the gentleman and just continued to do the compressions. And I bet you it was 3 to 5 minutes, and I heard the ambulance came, and a police officer came up to me and asked me would I like to let him take over. I think I said yes. But definitely, it's incredible. They do this every day. And again, I appreciate any kind of recognition, but it goes to my wife, 911, and the police officer, and the ambulance, of course, that took over for the next 5-10 minutes. I still don't know what happened to the gentleman. I hope he survived, and regardless. So on behalf of them, I'll accept that award. Thank you. You want me to give it to Kelly? She deserves it. Thank you.
Mr. Hines, I will tell you, having been a medic for 30 years with Lebanon, it does make a difference. Bystander CPR makes a huge difference. There were a lot of times when we got there, it was too late, and many times somebody, even if it wasn't perfect, it made a difference in what our job meant. So you do make a difference.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to regular items with previous business. Number 1, ordinance number 2021-014.
Ordinance number 2021-014 is an ordinance approving modifications to Chapter 535 parking meters.
Mr. Branca.
This ordinance will authorize modifications to Chapter 353 parking meters of the Lebanon Codified Ordinances, revising parking meter hours of operation and fees.
And a motion to adopt.
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion or comment? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Monroe?
Yes.
Ms. Wyatt?
Yes.
Mayor Brewer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Messer?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
No.
All right, moving on to new business. Number 1, ordinance number 2021-017.
Ordinance number 2021-017 is an ordinance creating a Human Relations Commission.
A motion for, oh, you want to go ahead? Scott?
Sure.
Here we go.
This ordinance will amend Section 125 of the Lebanon Codified Ordinances to create a Human Relations Commission, which would be a recommending board to the City Council.
And a motion for first reading?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second?
All right, now I do believe there
Mayor.
may be individuals that are here that would like to speak.
Mayor Brewer, Mr. Bronco said section 125, and this says 129. Does that make a difference?
I believe it's 129 is the actual.
Okay, I heard it's
Yeah,
125. I'm sorry.
129,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone that wanted to speak? I'll give you an opportunity if you would like to speak. Go ahead. Again, just for protocol, name and address for the record, and you have an opportunity for 3 minutes. And Dan, you can let me know. Thank you.
My name is Ben Watawa, and for the sake and the safety due to recent events at my home, I will not be giving my address to this city council. Quite frankly, I didn't want to say anything to any of you anymore. Truth is, and I'm going to quote Malcolm X here, you cannot hate the roots of the tree and not hate the tree. For me, at this point, I understand what's happened here. I understand that my sheer appearance as a giant 6 foot, 200+ pound person of color is intimidating to some folks. I understand that I'm not a warrior. I didn't go to Lebanon High School. I went to a high school in Cleveland. I'm a city kid. I understand that I've only been in this community for 4.5 years, and that my idea of what the world should look like is much different than the one that you have and the one that you grew up with. What struck me recently is the flat-out silence I've heard. Webster's defines silence as the complete absence of sound, or the prohibit or to prevent someone from speaking. The unfortunate reality is I've come to these council meetings and been quiet, come to these meetings and been loud. And the thing that strikes me with this human condition is the silence. I disagree almost wholeheartedly with Mr. Schaefer's opinion of it, but at least he had enough fortitude to speak up and let his voice be heard. I've heard Ms. Wyatt passionately defend this idea. I've heard Crystal Wyatt passionately defend this idea. I heard Mark, as much as I love you and I think that you're a great man, you said back in August that you believed that we could do this and we should, and yet now silence. Mayor Brewer, silence. And unfortunately for all of us, silence is deafening. It lets the members and the people sitting in this very room know that, quite frankly, maybe you don't care. Maybe it's not important. You know, we can talk about how in 1959 the federal government passed the Human Rights Commission and amended it in 1994 under President Clinton. So to say it's not a function of government is false. It's completely inaccurate. The state of Ohio has its own and gives out awards based upon the acts that these people do. The simple fact is, you have a choice. You can stay silent and let people for themselves come up with conclusions and reasons as to why you won't support it. And I'm almost willing to bet that those reasons are far worse than the ones that you have. Or, and maybe even worse, you can just wait for it to be read for the first time, vote no and not say anything. Not let your voice be heard, not explain to the people who are ultimately looking for you for leadership as to why you don't want to do something, why you don't believe it. It's about all people. I got an email that just this morning from a member of this community who is Islamic. And he told me, Ben, I'm just going to quote a part of it here. Ben, I've sat on Zillow for hours with my wife, thinking about how quickly I need to sell this home, because I'm not welcome here. There is no mosque for me to attend. There is no Muslim people for me to talk to. I can't even turn on a YouTube video of city council without feeling like my voice won't be heard by them, that they don't care about me or my children. That is what we're dealing with. Just do the right thing. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care if you hate it. But at least have enough intestinal fortitude to say, we want to be the change we want to see. I'm glad the Historical Society is here. Let's look at the history. Call the Kimberlin family and ask what it's been like for them. Ask Ms. Wyatt what it's like as someone who is in a same-sex relationship, what it's like to live like that. Just because it doesn't directly affect you doesn't mean that it's not going on. It's time, for the first time, for us to start getting some money back. Do the right thing. If for nothing else, do it for the future. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Olivia Forster, 120 Canal Street. I wanted to say as well that I was a little disheartened by silence. I came last weekend to the meeting and heard Ms. Wyatt passionately speak about this, and I know that Ms. Monroe has passionately spoken about this as well, and I heard silence. So this week when it was posted on Let's Talk Lebanon, I decided to look through who was laughing at this proposed commission and who was mad about this proposed commission. And it's evident if you look through there that we need this. For you to say that it doesn't exist or that it's not that bad, it's evident. And after going through some of those profiles, I decided to take a look at some city council members' profiles. When I see words like woke-tards, articles about our president wanting to prevent discrimination against those in the LGBTQ community, articles about does wearing a mask make one look any less idiotic? I just lost 2 family members to COVID. It may not be serious to you. We can have different opinions. We can not agree on policy. We have different politics, that's evident. But what we shouldn't do is make fun of one another. What we shouldn't do, like Ben said, there are people in this community who are not Christians. And for people who stand up and proclaim to be a person of God and to pray and to say that you love everyone, posting those things on Facebook doesn't show it. You can take those things down, but people know. And like Ben said, we need leadership. Leaders don't do that. Leaders bring people together. This Human Relations Commission can help to do that. We can talk. We have differences. That's okay. You don't like masks? Fine. Don't make fun of me because I'm wearing one. You're a Republican? Fine. Don't call me a libtard. We need this, and it could help Lebanon. Thank you.
I actually have something to pass out, if that's okay. My name is Brooke Handley. I live at 1030 Winding Way, and I'd like for you to just take a look at the first picture and ask what you see. I see a friend that was in Mrs. Hamilton's physics class senior year with myself and your daughter, Mayor Brewer. I see a friend who supported me financially when I was going through a rough patch last year due to COVID cutbacks. I see American-born citizens and a family that is proud of their heritage and culture, as well as an Army veteran who went to high school with Mr. Schaefer. Their parents and their grandparents are my mom and dad's neighbors. I see Lebanon City School students. What do you see when you look at the other pictures on the next page? I can't show this. It's highly inappropriate for public commentary. It makes me physically sick, but there is one portion that I will read out loud. This is on the back of an envelope sent through the United States Postal Service. This is a Hispanic family. United States Immigration and Customs U.S. Marshal Service has been informed again of your location, overcrowded home, and possible drug activities reported to them at this location. Move or risk deportation, you criminal welfare bedbug scum. Clearly, the person or persons who spent money to send these items through the USPS see nothing but Hispanic family with brown skin, so obviously they must be illegal immigrants. I see blatant ignorance, pure hate, and learned discrimination. Whomever wrote this has no inclination to want to know this family. These are United States citizens, born here, lifelong residents of Lebanon, and if this is how they are perceived and treated, I don't know why they would want to stay, and quite frankly, some days I don't know why I do. because I see and hear things too often and I cannot handle it. I've listened over the past year in this chamber in support of a resolution in support of this Human Relations Commission. I haven't heard from anyone in this community brave enough to step from behind their keyboard or backroom conversations and show up here in person to express their opposition. Nor have we heard from most members of council why they do not support it. Please tell us why you don't want it. I am asking you as council and leaders of this city to make our people a priority and give us a chance to really try and make a difference in this broken world and this broken city. We have a duty with our actions to show our younger generations that this is not tolerable and that we can make things better for their futures and those of our future leaders and citizens, and to be an example. Incidents like I have just demonstrated are what we can work on in the Human Relations Commission by preventing them from happening and mediating when they do happen, whether it be associated with race, sexual orientation, religious affiliation, or immigration status. These people have nowhere to go when local law enforcement and the USPS don't do anything about it. Our people are our most precious resource, more important than funds and budgets, more important than trees and parks, more important than festivals, more important than zoning and roads. Although any good that would come from this commission will not have a tangible outcome, we will be enhancing the reputation, atmosphere, and the lives of the people who live, work, and visit here. We want you to show us that you really care and are in this office for the right reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Should I adjust this?
Oh, yeah. Speaking from somebody who's short, go right ahead.
My name is Sarah Gondos. I live on 203 East Silver Street. I'm not a speaker, and I've never been here before, so bear with me. Listening to people tonight, I just first want to apologize to anyone here who has heard condescension or sarcasm or hatred coming from a Christian. As a Christian myself, I'm very hurt to hear that and very saddened, because we are called to be the salt of the earth, and that is just not a representation of the Jesus that I follow. But I just came to share an experience of mine. I live fairly close to the stores, as you could probably hear from my address. And I have a boyfriend who is a 6'1" black man. And Will is a wonderful man. He is an Eagle Scout, and he is a materials engineer at Procter & Gamble, and has worked his whole life to be good enough. Will is gentle and kind, and pre-COVID spent his Fridays teaching STEM to children in elementary schools at underprivileged schools in Cincinnati. And one day while he was visiting, I was really excited to go show him the stores in our town, and we decided to start walking. It was very apparent to me that many people were staring at us, and there is this very strange phenomenon that happens where it's really hard to tell if something's happening because of racism or not, and you kind of try to talk yourself out of it. But as we walked into Burlap and Birch, and a woman was very rude and started following my boyfriend around the store, it became very apparent that this was not something that I was imagining. As I tried to continue on and make light of it, hoping that Will didn't notice, eventually it became too much, and I started crying and told him I was ready to leave. And as we walked out of the store, he looked at me and said, "Is it because of the race thing?" And I couldn't speak because I was humiliated that I took my boyfriend to the stores in this town that I love so much, and I was so excited to show him, and we were being followed as if we were gonna shove pine cones in our pockets or decorative twigs. It's humiliating. And to hear some of the people here talking about the silence that has happened, and this idea that it's not happening, it is happening. And if you don't know that it's happening, either you're choosing not to pay attention, or you're not somebody that a person of color would trust sharing that with. Your silence does speak volumes to people of color. They notice, they can tell. They know who is safe to talk to and share things with, and they know who isn't. And frankly, there was nobody for us to talk to. and I wish there was.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Renee Forrester, and I live in Lebanon, Ohio. Just wanted to come up and tell you what human relations is. It's learning about each other, finding out your similarities and your differences. When we do that, we can come together as a people. And I'm so sorry you had that happen to you downtown. But I feel when people get to know me, I hope they like me. I hope I make them laugh. I just had a little human relations with Mr. Schaefer about some chickens and some Target dresses last week.
I don't know anything about the Target dress.
My fault, totally my fault.
But through that conversation, just texting back and forth, I got an appreciation from him, and I hope he got an appreciation from me. And I think that's what a Human Relations Commission could do for the city. It is really much needed. I shouldn't go to the store and feel like somebody's going to run over my ankles just because they don't like the color of my skin, because that's basically what it is. I have great hopes for this city, and I have great hopes that you all will think about this seriously and approve the City Commission, the Human Rights Commission, Human Relations Commission, sorry, Ray. We need this for the future. We really do. And I just want you to really consider this. Put yourself in someone else's shoes that might not have such a good time. And it's not always about racism. It could be about somebody's disabled, that they're disabled, or that they're poor. So there's a lot of reasons why this commission is needed in the city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name's Steve Edwards. I've lived at 2895 Wilmington Road for about 6 years. I'm not a city resident, but I tell people I'm from Lebanon, and I want to be able to say that with pride and not disappointment or bad-mouthing the community that I call mine. I'm one of the white Americans who over the past few years have been shocked at the black men who have been killed by police with cell phones and body cameras that make no doubt that we have a problem with discrimination and racial hatred in the country. And it brings me to think about, well, what's going on in my community? And what's my responsibility to the people I live with? And I've seen Amy Brewer at music festivals and other city organization functions, and I'm thinking I should talk to Mayor Brewer about, how are things in Lebanon? I'm relatively new here. But it's really, I haven't done it, and it's really not my place to do that. But if there was a Human Relations Commission, that would be the avenue for that to happen. I'm also a member of the Historical Society. I love to see this. I've lived in Southwest Ohio all my life. I love history. But there's a lot of history I have not known until relatively recently, and it's very upsetting. And not even just old history about racial discrimination and hatred. It's fairly recently, and it's in this community, and it's in the community I grew up in. And that's a reason to have a Human Relations Commission to be able to deal with this on a community level with people who know each other and respect each other and stop the problems before they get worse. And let the communities know that in the 21st century that Lebanon is a forward-thinking community, it's a good community, and despite what may have happened in the past, it's going to be dealt with and a better place for everyone to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you. And this is the first reading, oh, sorry, you're the city manager. That in 2 weeks, well, work sessions, which we will have next week, open to the public, and then this will take a vote the following week, which everyone will have an opportunity to speak as well.
And I have some comments. Would you like them now or at the end?
No, you can say them right now,
Okay.
in case some people need to leave.
Okay, so on this topic, first of all, for those of you that came and spoke tonight, thank you. I know that it's difficult and very unpleasant and painful. It's very apparent, and I thank you for doing that. Lebanon is overdue for a Human Relations Commission, and here's why. Systemic racism is real, and everyday acts of racism are occurring, well, every day. And no one up here truly knows what that's like, to live that. We've had our separate trials in life, but it's not anywhere close to being the same as when it comes to race. When I think about all the wonderful things that we all love Lebanon, and we love the charm and this quaint small city that we have, we love that you can ride your bike and go get ice cream, and the people that you know and people they know, and how it then comes full circle. The parks and just the interconnectedness of all the citizens that are here, the Christmas spirit that is in Lebanon for a couple months of the year. It's very unique. It's charming. However, if I faced the racist comments just going about my day, if I were the one being followed around in the stores because of the color of my skin, if I were harassed, I don't think that I would find it so quaint anymore. I wouldn't feel the same way. Every decision would give me pause. I would have to think, can I go for a walk right now? How will I be treated if I go into this business, or by this person, or by this group? I would have to think twice before every single thing that I did, and that would be exhausting. And it should not be that way. It should not happen. I wanted to point something else out too. Many of you have spoken, and we have gotten emails from different people in the community as well, which I also appreciate. That's another good way to speak to us. And when I think about, and when we think about the different citizens that we're hearing from that do support this, that want us to pass it, we don't have to agree politically with every one of them on every political issue there is to potentially agree on, and that's okay. But we can agree that racism is wrong and enough is enough. We're losing talent. We're losing value. We are losing out to other nearby communities, and it's a huge mistake. When is it wrong to stand with the underrepresented, the underappreciated, the marginalized, and the abused? When is it wrong to do that? And when is it right to expect other people or other groups to do something about a problem this significant and this damaging? We are where we are because in the past, people in leadership didn't do enough for year after year and decade after decade. But we're in a position now where we can say, have we done enough? And there's more that we can do. And we're in a position of leadership, and it is time for us to say, we need to do this next step. It's our chance to do something about it. And it's time for a Human Relations Commission in Lebanon. Thanks.
Anyone else?
I had a couple, I mentioned a couple that were harassed in their neighborhood, and I don't want to get specific. It's one of our newer neighborhoods on the north end of town. And I chatted with them recently. They're going to be putting their house up for sale, moving to a more diverse community for their children to grow up in. And in between that, to the flip side, I have someone that lives on the opposite end of town, that their biracial neighbors are also putting their house up for sale and will be leaving the community. They have 4 children, 4 different children. And I say biracial, I'm not sure. I think the husband himself is biracial, but they're done with this town, and I hate that. I hate that people are living. So I reached out to another friend that I went to school with, lives in Dayton, and she has adopted 2 black children. I said, "You ever think about moving back to town?" Her flat response was, "Hell no. It is out of control down there." She goes, "I would not take my children." I also had another friend that I went to church with, right up here at Cobblestone. She was very excited, all excited. Texted me, "I'm going to move to Lebanon. We're looking at houses." One of her coworkers lives 2 streets over from me. We were joking about, can the world stand us all together? She has a biracial daughter who has a 3/4 black son. And when her daughter said, while she's in college, she's still living with her mom and stepdad, "Oh, we're moving to Lebanon," they're going, "Oh, no, you're not." And all the excitement my friend had about moving here was squashed in a single comment that was told to her daughter about how unsafe it would be to raise her son here. And it's just, this is what I keep hearing and keep hearing and keep hearing. I don't know if my counterparts are hearing the same thing. I don't know. Someone said to me, "Mel, you're very approachable. That's why you're hearing it." There's just nothing positive that I'm hearing. And a comment was made to me recently, your new logo says historic charm reimagined. I said, "Well, then do it." I said, if not, drop the word reimagined and just say going backwards. And I said, well, there was a lot of thought and effort to put in that, and maybe they have a point. But if we're going to reimagine the history here, we can't forget our history, but we can heal from it, and we can move forward. So like I say, I wish I had a positive thing to report on that, but any correspondences I have, they just seem to be getting worse and worse, and it's very concerning to me. And it's racial. I have had somebody say, "What's it like being gay and being in Lebanon?" Well, same thing it's been for 58 years. It's, I was 55 before I had to hear about it, though. 55 years old before I had to hear it, but it pales in comparison to what my friends out here that I grew up with have heard all their life. And it does. I want to be a leader that moves forward. I want to be a leader that tries to build tolerance. And maybe it's my religion. We either start, or Brooke helped me, start or end every sermon or pastor with the good news of Jesus Christ is that God loves everyone. And if I am to be that person, to spread that word from the faith that I have to try to bring people together. And I'm not here again, not everyone's Christian. That just happens to be my faith. And if I'm going to live by my faith, then I have to keep doing efforts to try to help people. So this is a way that I think we can as a city. And it's not about, again, telling people what to do or how to act. This is about creating a situation where citizens can come together. There's all kinds of issues out here, but what do we focus on? And how do we make it happen? The information's out there. Other cities are doing it. It's out there. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We know what works well. Many cities this size, some larger, some smaller. And I think we have a lot to learn, but it's about teaching tolerance. There's a program, I don't know if they still do it, it's called Redo, Respecting Others Despite Differences. They teach it in the schools. And there's some issues, that's not the perfect program, but respect others despite our differences. And that's what this commission, I feel, would be their main purpose, to be a learning situation for this community. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right. first reading, and we will see this legislation at our work session.
Correct.
Great. Number 2, ordinance number 2021-018.
Ordinance number 2021-018 is an ordinance approving a contract with Kelchner for the Lebanon Northern Bike Trail Extension Project and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Bronco.
This legislation will approve a contract with Kelchner in the amount of $774,776 for the Lebanon Northern Bike Trail Extension Project, which will extend the bike trail from downtown Lebanon north up to the intersection of North Broadway and Miller Road. This project is being partially funded by an ODNR trail grant.
And a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Discussion or comment? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Monroe.
Yes.
Mayor Brewer.
Yes.
Ms. Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Messer.
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer.
Yes.
All right, city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. The next meeting of City Council will be a work session, which is going to be on Wednesday of next week, February 17th at 7 p.m. in these chambers. And I would like to remind folks that the city building will be closed on Monday in observance of President's Day. That's all I have, Mayor.
Right, thank you. No executive session, correct?
That's
Mr.
correct,
Mayor?
Your Honor.
So, Mrs. Monroe, do you have anything?
Nothing else, thank you.
Vice Mayor Messer? Councilor Wyatt?
Kudos to the street crew, or whoever jumped in the plows this week, this overnight, I guess they started last night.
Yeah, really a team effort. They
So
did a
probably,
good job.
yeah, fantastic job. Saw people on Facebook that worked out of town and consistently, Lebanon's roads were perfect, or not perfect, but they were a lot happier with our streets than they were where they work. So kudos to our city staff.
They were just itching to get out there and play in the big equipment, right?
Yeah,
That's all I have.
depends.
Councilor Schaefer, anything this evening?
No, I forgot to get everybody's Super Bowl picks last week. I hope you guys aren't too upset about the outcome of that. I don't have anything, thank you.
All right, I don't either. So I will entertain a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second? Please call the roll.
Mayor Brewer.
Yes.
Mrs. Monroe.
Yes.
Ms. Wyatt.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Messer.
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer.
Yes.
Thank you for joining our meeting Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. Look forward to seeing everybody at our next meeting. Remember, our work session is on Wednesday at 7 o'clock in these chambers. Have a good evening.